this way. You frequently talk about value stories, and I
Mhm.
love the idea that you use the oh God, what's the archetype of the story? Hero's journey.
Yeah,
Right. I love the fact that you use the hero journey as you talk through the value stories.
yeah.
But I'm really curious in your mind, what's the difference between a value story and a case study?
Well, a value story is customized for a particular client that you're trying to sell to. So it's a personalized story, whereas a case study is based on some client that may resemble you or may be totally fictitious, or what monitor not monitor when I worked at Forrester, they would do things called TEI case studies, which companies would pay for, total economic impact, um, which were usually a mashup of about 3 or 4 companies, unidentified, put together, and they'd say, "Oh, this is the ROI of this solution." You know, so to me, a value story is something that is custom. I mean, we call them value propositions at Leverage Point, um, where you take a value model and you apply it to a particular customer situation and come up with that value for that customer. So that to me is the difference.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting to hear, believe it or not.
Oh,
Um, so when you have a value conversation, how is
mhm.
that different from a value story?
I think value conversation is what you need to do in order to write a value story. Um, because one of the things I learned the hard way is you just can't go in and say, "Hey, here's how we're going to, improve your business with our solution." Right? I know this for a fact because I've tried doing it.
Haven't we all? um, okay,
Um,
so in
so
my
what?
head,
So the conversation is really it's a discovery. It's basically what a good salesperson does, the discovery process. But my wrinkle to it, my contribution to it, is this added dimension of the value conversation, which many salespeople avoid. They think it's the most scary thing to do, is to start talking about costs and revenue in any sort of detail, because they'll get tripped up and they'll look foolish, and they don't want to do that. They'd rather talk on safe topics like, the product. So that's what a value conversation is, which is really digging into their particular issues and what the economic impact of it. Like we were saying before, what's the cost of that problem? You've got a problem with customers churning, and it's funny. Like, I'll have conversations. Say, okay, well, what's that worth? Well, I don't know. Really? Like, well, how many customers do you leave a year? Oh, 1,000. Okay, well, what's your average value per customer? Oh, it's $500. Well, we just measured it. You know what I mean? Those conversations don't happen enough, in my opinion. They just don't happen. And they're not, you don't have to be a pricing expert or a value expert to have these. Really good salespeople do it anyway without ever, taking the pricing course, right? They know how to do this
so
sort of thing.
Ed, I'm still trying to understand this. If a value story is a personalized story, how
Mhm.
do I tell that value story if I haven't yet had a value conversation?
You have to have that conversation. You can't do it.
Okay.
You have to have that, you have to have that value conversation. And you don't start with a blank page. You start off with, some assumptions that, hey, I've been studying your company, and here are some things we think that you're experiencing. Can you tell us that? Oh, yes. Or what else is happening? And then you're, what I call it, connecting the dots. You're connecting the dots between what your product offers and what the customer really cares about, and then trying to find out what the economic impact of it is. So often in the value model, you might have 6 or 7 possible economic rationalizations, right? Value drivers. And what what I've learned in my experience is not all of them apply to all customers. And the trick is to figure out which ones are most important to that particular customer, that particular stakeholder, and then to see if there are other stakeholders who care about the other things. And you just rinse and repeat until you say, hey, I've got four quantified reasons where we could show how we can improve your business if you work with us. And that is basically the essence of applying a value model to a customer situation. And it's their case study, right? Because they're going to need
Okay.
that to sell it to their executive leadership to make to make the purchase.
Yeah.